everyone. This is Stephanie Mann, and this is the Safe Kids Now show. And I am very excited today to have a wonderful guest. Her name is Kylie Gallagher, and she's better known as Indigo Wild on stage. And she's a former Las Vegas showgirl. And Kylie is now living in Hawaii, and I happen to have met her when I went to a Aquathenics class, and we got talking about the fact that I live in Las Vegas, and she worked here for 7 years as a showgirl, and she's going to tell us all about it because I was so interested in finding out how do you get started in show business in Las Vegas, and all about the amazing experiences she must have had. So we'll find out more about it. And here is Kylie Gallagher. Welcome, Kylie. So good to see you. And
Aloha. Well, hello.
aloha
Hi,
to you.
Stephanie.
Yeah, I understand you've had some rough weather in Hawaii, and you've had what? Tell us a little bit about the weather there.
So we've had a big storm come through these last few days. There was actually snow on the Big Island. I'm here on Maui, but we had quite the storm Sunday evening, a lot of power outages, but we've recovered now. The sun is back out, blue skies, and we think we've made it through the worst of it.
I think well, Hawaii is always so beautiful, and I love going over there. And it was such a treat to meet you and find out that you were here for 7 years. And where did you grow up, and how did your family feel about that when you decided to be a showgirl in Las Vegas?
Well, I actually grew up in the Midwest. I have roots in both Chicago and Detroit. So I spent my younger years in Chicago and I went to high school in both Chicago and Detroit. So my mother is originally from Detroit, my father is from New York, and they both had coalesced and created a home in Chicago together. So that was where my upbringing was. And then from there, I spent some of my teenage years in Detroit and onwards from there.
Oh my goodness. Well, how did your family feel about it when you said, well, I've decided to be a showgirl in Las Vegas?
I don't think they were too surprised, to be honest. So I'm the youngest of two girls in my family. I do have an older sister, and I was known for had a loud personality as a child. And one of my mother's favorite stories to tell is actually we were on a flight to the Caymans around the holidays, and we were delayed on the tarmac in Chicago. Big snowstorm, and so we'd been held back for a few hours, and I guess they had turned the lights off in the cabin to try and calm everybody down. It was getting late in the evening and we were all waiting. People were getting a bit restless. And they said that when they turned the lights off in the cabin, I stood up on my chair and I yelled, "Let's party." So I was always one to have a big personality and wanted to be a part of the action. And so performing was a way that I could do so and contribute to the experience and to just mesmerize people with what the human body is capable of.
Well, now, were you in ballet, or how did you get started with? I know you do. Let's see, it's what is it called? Where your aerial, uh,
The aerial arts, yes. So
yeah,
I
arts.
did dance throughout my childhood. I was a dancer in my younger years, and then sort of focused more of my energy into academia throughout my teenage years. And I had throughout my teenage years, I had a couple different experiences, you could say. I explored quite a bit throughout my teenage years, and I had issues with my discipline, and that's why I think it's really important now the work that I'm doing to encourage young girls to find these practices, these embodiment arts and movement as a healing channel and as a pathway to empowerment through movement, to move through our emotions and to connect with our bodies.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's so important for young girls to get them involved in something, and dance and ballet or any of those disciplines are wonderful for young girls. Now, when did you come to Vegas, and how was that? How did that work?
So I came to Vegas in my early 20s. I had actually just finished my undergraduate. I got my degree from the University of Michigan in cultural anthropology and women's and gender studies. So because I had had some difficult years in my teenage years, I knew that I wanted to be of service. it gave me the capacity to connect to those that are also struggling. And so I initially wanted to join the Peace Corps, and I came to find out that their prerequisite was to either have 4 years of education or 4 years of experience in the field. So I chose to pursue my degree, and I did so in cultural anthropology and women's and gender studies. And thereafter, I was actually doing work in the Amazonian Ecuador. I was in South America, living with the tribe and studying the impact of the oil industry on indigenous communities and the way in which that impacted women in particular. And then thereafter, I just arrived back from the Amazon, and about a week after, I had met a man skydiving and ended up traveling cross country with him to pursue the performing arts. So my life just really shift trajectories rather fast. So as I said, dance had always been a powerful practice for me to move my energy in that way, to connect with music and my body. And so I had always been dancing, and then at that time I just chose to really pour my energy and my heart into pursuing the performing arts, and to do so in Las Vegas, where the most talented acrobats and dancers and entertainers are in the world.
Well, now, what show did you, and how did you go about getting involved? Because I know people are always interested, how do these aerialists or how do these girls and guys get into Las Vegas and start a career here? How does that work?
It was tough. It was tough, I'll tell you. And Vegas is very much a city that if you're not in control of any of your vices, that city will chew you up and spit you out.
I'm
There's
sure.
a lot of temptation in the city. And so I'm very grateful for the discipline I had for the aerial arts, for waking up daily. And I, at one time, was training 4 to 5 hours a day, 5 to 6 days a week. And when I first arrived in Vegas, I actually didn't know anybody in the city. So it just took going to audition after audition, and you really have to build a tough skin. You hear no much more than you hear yes, but you just have to keep going and training and trying to evolve your craft.
Yeah, I can see where that would be a challenge now. So how long did it take you, from the time that you came until you got your first job here?
Well, I was fortunate. I was doing promotional work in Detroit at the time. I had been doing some promotional modeling, and my boss transferred me to their Las Vegas division. So I started doing some promotional work, and then thereafter just continued, as I said, going to these auditions. And I think it was maybe within the first year, I had started to crack the door open and getting some work booked into some of the bigger premier nightclubs. So as you may know, there's hundreds of girls from around the world who audition there. Sometimes the auditions are anywhere from 3 to 8 hours long.
Whoa.
And it's just the process that you go through to get these coveted positions in the Las Vegas entertainment industry.
And what was your first job here?
I actually worked at the Golden Nugget, if you know the Golden Nugget downtown. Yes,
Yeah.
I dealt bikini blackjack at their pool.
You were what? Say that again.
I was a bikini blackjack dealer at their pool.
Oh, a blackjack dealer.
They're model dealers now in Las Vegas. And so I worked there. And then from there, it was my entry into working at the nightclub, or it's a day club rather, rehab at the Hard Rock. And then from there, it just kind of expanded. So you have to just kind of start in Fremont downtown, and then you get the opportunity, the doors begin to open for the bigger establishments on the Las Vegas Strip.
Well, I've been to see Circus Soleil and see the aerialists over my head spinning around. And now, was that something that you did? Because I remember you say you were an aerialist.
Absolutely. So that's my main apparatus. It's called a lyra. It's a circular metal hoop, and you perform acrobatic tricks being suspended. I've been performed from as high as about 25 feet in the air.
Oh my goodness. Because I've seen people spinning up there, and you wonder, how do you get there from here? It's quite a journey you've had. And so how long did you do that? And what show were you in?
So it began with, as I said, my passion for dance opened the door to to seeing these other art forms within the entertainment industry. I first saw an aerialist and was completely blown away just by, again, what the potential of the human body, just the strength and the beauty and the grace. It was so composed. And so
Yeah.
thereafter, I started to look into training as an aerialist. And when I arrived in Las Vegas, um, I knew that there was the opportunity to train with their acrobats, with Cirque du Soleil, because there's such an abundance of performers in the city that you actually have the opportunity to train hands-on with them at some of the facilities around town. So I really invested in that and took my time learning from the best, and it accelerated. So I began my aerial journey in my earlier 20s, whereas some started out as gymnasts in their younger years
Right.
and in their teenage years, and I came into it in my 20s. And I think that having the opportunity to train in Las Vegas with former Cirque du Soleil artists is what really propelled me in the craft in just such a short amount of time.
And I notice in your resume here that you said that you also did acts with fire.
I do.
How did you make that transition, or how did that work?
That was again something I had been introduced to and going to shows. As I said, I've been a big live music enthusiast, and seeing fire performers in the shows and just being wow, and loving dance and wanting again to evolve my craft. How can I take it to the next level? And so working with fire has been really a powerful, it's a very powerful force, and just the sound of it and the feeling of it. It's a cathartic experience to work with fire.
Now, did you ever have an accident with fire? Because I see them doing it as fast, but it looks dangerous to me. So, did you have any problems with it, or?
There's definitely a big element of danger, and
Right.
to do so, I would always advise if anybody is interested in doing proper safety training surrounding how to use fire tools and what you should have, the equipment that you should have if you're using fire tools. We use fire blankets and having water and just all of these things. So to even before you pick up
Right.
the tool, there's a lot of research to do beforehand and to feel into yourself if that's something you really would like to pursue. And I personally was just in awe of it and captivated by it. And so just it becomes almost a meditation for me. So when I'm performing, my mother too, she's seen me spin really fast and she's just, wow, how do you do that? I would get so dizzy, but everything slows down. I become very focused in that moment.
It's almost hypnotic, is it not, when you're spinning?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a little break here, and when we come back, I'm going to ask Kylie, her best experience in Vegas and her worst experience. So we'll be back in 30 seconds.
Throw and Tuck. It's handmade by myself, and you only can get it here, and it's patent, and it's only here at Rococo Design. It's like a regular pillow, or you can take the blanket out like so, fluff up the pillow, open up your blanket, wrap it around yourself, and then you can lay on your sofa and relax with your pillow throw and tuck. When you're done with it, just flip it over. When you don't want the blanket anymore, you just fold it over twice. Fold it over twice again. Fold it over. And tuck it in the back. And there you go. You're back to the pillow throw and tuck. Rococo Design.
Okay, we're back, and this is where we're joined and talking to Kylie Gallagher, and she is a former showgirl in Las Vegas, Nevada, and she's now living in Hawaii and teaching yoga, meditation, and other things. But to get back to my question, what is the best experience you had in Las Vegas?
Wow, so many come to mind when you ask that question. I really had so many incredible opportunities. I have met so many artists that I've really admired over the years, musical artists and performers. and had the opportunity to share the stage or be on stage with so many incredible people. One of my favorites is Aerosmith. I got a call one day to go on stage with Aerosmith at one of their concerts. That was really incredible. And I would say the pinnacle of my career was probably appearing in the show Absinthe at Caesar's Palace. So that's a big top production. It's a really well-known show on the Strip. And as a performing artist, again, in a city of just the most talented in the entire world, it's really an accomplishment to get to share the stage with so many phenomenal performers.
That sounds wonderful. I bet you really enjoyed that. And what is the worst experience you had when you were in Las Vegas?
Well, Vegas is a tough city, and there is a big level of competition amidst women, and there is a very dark undercurrent in Las Vegas.
Yes.
So I would say one of my biggest challenges was that women had pitted themselves against one another in this darker undercurrent in Las Vegas, and so my intention with the container that I hold now, I own and operate a global sisterhood for women, and I have different facilitators that offer healing modalities, and we do virtual classes as well on our platform. And the intention with that was to really create a genuine sisterhood, to not knock each other down, to try and get ahead, and to understand that there is abundance for all. And if we support each other through the process, as I had mentioned, some of those auditions in Las Vegas, 3 to 8 hour long auditions where you go in your bikini and you're in front of a panel of judges, and it's intense. And so to support one another in the process, especially as we as women, we're all in the same experience. So to genuinely uplift and inspire one another.
Well, that's wonderful. You know, that's so important. And I love it, the fact that women support each other, because that's so important for all of us. We all need that. I think every human being needs lots of support. One of the things that I was thinking about was, the amazing things that go on in Vegas that we sometimes do not talk about. And I'm working with child sex trafficking people that are trying to stop it. And I'm working with people that are helping getting kids out of sex trafficking. And in your experience, did you happen to see any of that going on in the work you were doing?
In my experience, yes, and I have spoken about that on my platform as well, actually, is that it is very common for women to get drugged, even in my industry. And that was part of my arrival to Las Vegas as well. It's almost like an initiation to Las Vegas. And when I personally had gone through that experience, other girls in the city just told me, yeah, welcome to Vegas. Like, this is, it's very common in the industry. And so that was really disheartening. And it took a lot not to break my spirit in that process, and going to a new city and to not knowing anyone and to just get knocked down there right away. And as so many girls do. So for me, that was a catalyst to push more, to not go back to Chicago or Detroit with my tail between my legs. Vegas is a tough city, but indeed it is a very prevalent issue in the city. And I did my best to educate the younger girls that I worked with. I work with a lot of girls who were in their early 20s or even pre-20s sometimes in the showgirl arena, and to explain to them that this is, not a playground. It very much is. There's people out here who will try to manipulate you and try to promise you money and opportunities, and to really use your discernment and to be very mindful as you navigate this world.
Yeah, it's a tough problem. We have seen so much child abuse and child sex abuse in our communities. And matter of fact, it's all over the country. It's not just here in Vegas. But I think we have one of the highest problems here in this community. And a lot of it is fueled by, the Hollywood people that come in that try and exploit young girls, like you mentioned. And that is so sad. What do you see? And I think the support of women, do you see that network happening in Vegas, or did you, beyond the work you were trying to do by getting people to come together, girls, women, and talking about these issues? Did you see other things going on like that?
Not too much, to be quite honest. I did feel that there is a lack of that sense of camaraderie amongst the women who work in these industries. So you tend to find that in all women-dominated industries. there will always be division within, and so to really try to build more community, I think would and educate women as well,
Right.
especially these younger girls. And my growing concern as well is with social media and the way in which we use these
Yes.
platforms now, and everything's just so out in the public. And that's actually why I chose to have a separate performer moniker, is to maintain my privacy. And I grew up in an era where we didn't share online where we were, what we were doing. So it's been a big obstacle for me to overcome in the industry. To be so much in the public eye, or to put myself out there, feels really vulnerable for me. And so
Yes.
I'm constantly working through that, even now, just adapting to the way in which the world is flowing. And I also see a lot of young women who it's more common to explore their sexuality on these platforms. And that is a part of your coming of age, to explore your sexuality. But now they're doing so in a very public way.
Yes.
Instagram has gone in a very interesting direction, and especially in living in Las Vegas, I've seen a lot of it, and sex work is very common. And to make sure that women are operating from a space of their own authentic expression, and to be mindful of distinguishing that from operating from a space of seeking external validation, or out of a space of desperation, needing money or wanting to be successful. You really have to be just doing something because it's true to yourself, not because there's any external validation in it.
Well, thank you for your comments. And we do have a couple of comments here. And one of the comments is, how did you avoid getting sucked in? That's number one. But before you answer that, Barbara says, thanks for your transparency. It will help our young ladies. And another comment says, yes, you have a fabulous attitude. So thank you for, sharing this information with us. And how did you avoid getting sucked into this?
Well, as I had mentioned briefly in the beginning, I wasn't, I could get a little nervous on the radio, and I wasn't really quite sure how to articulate it, but I did get in some trouble in my teenage years, and I had a lot of trauma to work through in my teenage years. And so I learned through my own experience of having to take myself out of it and really find the way myself to stick to knowing that I wanted to grow a better future for myself, and to really know that it was myself who had to ultimately be the one to make these choices. And so when you fall back into Las Vegas, and sometimes, like I said, it's like a Vegas vortex, you just get wrapped up if there's drinking involved, or if there's any drug use and gambling and sex and all of these things that Vegas encompasses. So for me, again, the path was channeling that energy into an embodiment practice, which was movement and the aerial arts, to allow my emotions to be channeled in that way, and to really have so much love for the arts, for the performing arts,
Yeah.
and to be so inspired that kept me on track and kept me wanting. Nobody wants to spin around in circles hanging from the ceiling after they've been drinking all night. So I'm really grateful.
I don't think so.
Yeah, to show up for myself, and to see what my potential was, to explore my own potential.
Well, you really took charge of yourself. You found your own identity, found out what you really wanted to do, and you went out and did it. So now that you're in Hawaii and enjoying that wonderful environment out there, what are you doing in that area? And I know you're improving the lives of people. So how are you going about that today?
Well, now I'm teaching yoga as well as meditation, the aerial arts, and fitness. I teach 12 classes a week here in Maui. I do teach at the resorts as well, so I have a wonderful opportunity to connect with people from all over. I absolutely love it. And I also run an online academy. As I'd mentioned, I'm the founder of the Arcana Academy. We call it a modern day mystery school for mystic women. So we offer
Wow.
virtual classes. We do yoga, guided meditations, different embodiment practices. So as I gravitated toward the aerial arts, I have some wonderful friends that are dancers, and just drawing from different backgrounds and different modalities, because what works for one person may not work for another. And so for these young girls, learning to process all of their emotions and learning how to navigate this world, I really encourage them to find an outlet whether it's enjoying time alone in nature or writing or drawing or singing or moving. And for me, it's been moving. So I'm just sharing the tools and the resources that have worked for me throughout my life. And that's the platform that I've built now.
That sounds wonderful. I think it's very encouraging for all of us to know how important the arts are for your children, because learning to sing, dance, whatever, it occupies the mind and it helps us to grow from within. So what would you say, or do you have any final thoughts about what you would like to see in the future, or what you're hoping to attain in the future?
For my future, I would love to grow my business to have a space here in Hawaii where women can come and perhaps take the course. We would offer multiple classes a day. You can come for a 3 to 4 week program, or perhaps just a retreat. So I would love to have a facility, a safe sanctuary for women to come and to explore these different pathways to empowerment through movement, meditation, as well as the esoteric arts. So we incorporate a lot of ancient practices, working in harmony with the land and the moon cycles and all of these exciting things to just infuse your life with a little bit more magic.
Sounds good. Now, if somebody, you said you had virtual classes, do they come to the States, or is it just in Hawaii?
We do. So I actually have facilitators in 3 continents. I have facilitators here in the United States. I have a facilitator in the UK as well, and one in Mexico. So we're all spread out. We do all offer individual remote work. So we offer remote healing services. Some of my girls specialize in different healing modalities, different energy work or readings or Ayurveda, astrology, things of that nature. And then we also do the virtual classes twice a month. So you can tune in to our website. It's www.thearcanaacademy.com, or follow us on Instagram at the.arcana.academy, and you'll see a list of all of our upcoming events. Again, we do offer 2 events a month, so you can tune in from anywhere in the world. And one of our facilitators speaks Spanish, so we offer services and connection in both English and Spanish. So if women are looking for support and resources, definitely take a look at what we offer.
Okay, if someone wants to get in touch with you, how can they get in touch with you to find out more information?
Yeah, so you're welcome to get in touch with me directly. My Instagram is indigo.wild. So that's INDIGO.wild. And if you go into my bio, you can tap, it's called a link tree, and it will give you links to all of my work that I'm doing. As I said, I have a lot of spinning plates right now. So I do teach 12 classes in person here a week. I also do different fairs and different events on island, and as well as in the digital arena. So you can connect with me online and see all that I'm doing. If you'd like to tune in remotely or from the comfort of your home, you can also follow us on the Arcana Academy page. So that's at the.arcana.academy.
Well, I want to thank you so much. This has been Kylie Gallagher, and she has shared with us such a beautiful life that you've had. Everybody has ups and downs. And the fact that you have turned your life into something in a giving position where you can help other people find that calm within themselves, be a better person through yoga, meditation, whatever, because these are such important times for all of us to be more connected with ourselves and with each other. So I want to thank you so much. Do you have any final thoughts that you would like to add before we go?
Well, I'm so grateful. I see that there is a comment asking what suggestions would you give women in being sisters rather than competitors? And I would say to genuinely celebrate the gifts of other women, to see other women, to support them. And that's another reason I did create this platform, to actively support the work that my friends are doing, that other women are doing, that I see could benefit the world at large, and to share their work as well.
Wonderful thoughts. Wonderful thoughts. Thank you, Kylie, so much for all the information. And I will look forward to talking to you in the future. So thank you again for being with us today. Peace.
Aloha. Thank you.
Aloha to you. Okay. That was very inspirational. And I love talking to Kylie Gallagher about her life and what she is doing to make life better for other people. And that's what we all should be doing, moving from one place where we are now to helping others in the future. So that's what we're going to be talking about next week, because our guests are going to be amazing women. And we're going to be talking about how they're stopping violence in their cities. And that is Cher Graham will be sharing what they're doing in Mobile, Alabama. And we also have Ovella Davis, who is in Detroit, Michigan. And she's going to be talking, and we are going to be collaborating on 2022, the year of peace and healing. So I hope you will join us next week when we have two amazing ladies that are going to talk about, and this is a very important topic, how to stop violence in our cities and what they're actually doing to stop violence. So join us next week at the same time, and we will see you then. Thank you for joining us today. Peace and love.
You're listening to All About Us Radio. We're live streaming 24/7, playing old school versus new school. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at AAU Media, and visit our website, www.aaumedia.com. Call us at 1-833-369-1444, extension 1, and leave us an inspirational message or request. You're listening to All About Us Radio.